After 9 dark months, hope in these tiny vials. Pfizer shipping 500,000 doses today. This week, shipping 2.9 million doses to all 50 states and U.S. territories.
We know we're going to be able to put this behind us, but in the meantime, we still have a struggle ahead of us. So we've got to get people vaccinated as quickly and as expeditiously as we possibly can until we get that herd immunity, as we say, which will require, in my opinion, about 75 to 80% of the population getting vaccinated.
By month end, our government seeks to distribute 40 million doses of the COVID-19 vaccine. That's pretty huge. But a recent Gallup poll found that 4 out of 10 Americans are not down to take this vaccine. So other than contracting COVID-19, what could the real consequences be in passing on the vaccine? It's not like you could lose your livelihood, right? Or could you? I'm attorney Adrienne Lawrence, and this is Overruled. Welcome to TYT Overruled, where you get to be the judge. Our case of the day concerns whether your employer can fire you for not taking the COVID-19 vaccine. Here are the 3 things you need to know. First, could your employer fire you for not taking the COVID-19 vaccine? By and large, the answer is yes. Employers have broad authority to mandate employees vaccinate for the health and safety of fellow employees. This is how things work in most non-unionized employee situations because, hey, everybody's at will. And as many of you probably already know, companies can hire at-will workers at any time and for any legal reason, including refusal to vaccinate. You're likely wondering if there are any exceptions, and that brings me to my second point. Second, the Americans with Disabilities Act allows limited exceptions for those who are medically unable to take the vaccine, such as those who are immunocompromised. Remember, a vaccine basically injects portions of the virus into one's system, and not everyone's system can handle that. In such cases, the immunocompromised employee would seek an ADA exception based on a doctor's note or advice that says that, hey, you shouldn't take the COVID-19 vaccine. Then the employer would have to show that it causes an undue burden or poses a direct threat to the workplace to allow that unvaccinated employee to remain. And this standard could be pretty difficult for employers to meet if there are alternative options, better known as reasonable accommodations, such as allowing the immunocompromised employee to work from home, as we've been doing for most of the year. And this same standard applies for religious exemptions, where the employer would have to show that the accommodation creates an undue burden. Third, what recourse could you have if an employer forces you to take a vaccine and then you get sick? Well, unfortunately, there's not much recourse available to you. The law is not settled in this area, no, but legal experts largely agree that employers are unlikely to be blamed for side effects associated with the COVID-19 vaccine because it's been FDA approved. Roman Catholic and Orthodox Jewish groups in New York filing emergency requests with SCOTUS, arguing that New York Governor Andrew Cuomo, that he issued an executive order that's unconstitutional. This order limits in-person houses of worship to 10 or 25, depending on COVID cases in the area. But there aren't any orders out there that limit businesses to having a certain number of customers in their establishments. And that is why the groups are saying this violates our right to religious freedom, and it's not okay. So both the Roman Catholic and the Orthodox Jewish groups, well, what they want is to have the attendance limits lifted. Now, while Cuomo, well, he wants SCOTUS to stay out of the matter because
it's irrelevant from any practical impact because the zone that they were talking about has already been moot. It expired last week. So I think this was really just an opportunity for the court to express its philosophy and politics.
Second, the law. By and large, governments cannot take action that specifically target certain religious groups or that curb religious practices without meeting the highest legal standard. Courts call this standard strict scrutiny. Basically, courts look at the government's action, which in this case is Cuomo's executive order, and they ask themselves, is this order really necessary to meet Cuomo's objectives? Are those objectives really compelling? And is this order as narrow as possible so it doesn't infringe more than it should?